We've just gotten our first real look at the Pixel Watch 4, and yeah, it's looking pretty interesting. If you've been following Google's smartwatch journey, you know the story. Sleek design, smooth software. But that battery? Always the weak link. Now, with the Watch 4 on the horizon, Google might finally be fixing the things we've been complaining about. From design tweaks to possible wireless charging, there's a lot to unpack. So let's break down what's new, what's changing, and what still needs work. Let's start with the thing we first noticed. The watch looks a bit thicker, and we hope it could be 14.3mm. That's about 2mm more than the last version. And yeah, 2mm doesn't sound like a lot, but on a smartwatch it's noticeable. Now, thickness like this usually points to one thing: a bigger battery. And honestly, that's not making us think. We've had enough of charging our watch before bedtime just so we can track our sleep. If that extra bulk gives us an extra day, or even just a few more reliable hours of use, we'll take it. The Pixel Watch has always looked good, but it's time it also felt dependable. Next, the bezels. This is one of those things you don't really notice until you do, and once you do, it's hard to unsee it. On the Pixel Watch 2 and 3, the thick black border around the screen was always there, quietly reminding us that this wasn't quite edge to edge, but it looks much tighter. Thinner bezels mean more screen space, which makes everything feel a bit more modern and less cramped. More room for notifications, smoother swipes, and a cleaner look. That alone could make the watch feel like an upgrade, even if nothing else changed. Then there are these two small cutouts next to the speaker. The renders show them clearly, but no one really knows what they are yet. Most likely buttons. That would bring us up to 3 if you count the crown. Now, what could they be for? It could be for quick access to apps or workout shortcuts. Maybe even a programmable button like on some fitness watches. It's too early to say, but we like the idea. Extra controls could add serious utility, especially during workouts or when we don't want to swipe around a tiny screen. As for sizing, the watch will still come in 2 sizes, 41mm and 45mm. No surprises there. These were the same sizes offered with the Pixel Watch 3. It's a decent range. The smaller size works well for slim wrists or folks who want a lighter feel. The larger size offers more battery and a bigger display. Some brands are pushing even larger watch cases now, especially for rugged or outdoor-focused models. But for a daily use watch, this size range is fine. It keeps things accessible without overcomplicating the lineup. Now here's where things get more interesting. The pogo pins, those little charging dots at the back, are gone. Just like that. That might mean we're finally getting proper wireless charging. That would be a smart upgrade. It makes the watch look cleaner, and it also means less wear and tear over time. Those pins might have helped speed up charging in the Watch 2 and 3, but they weren't perfect. They brought in a proprietary charger, and that felt like a step backward. If Google has managed to get rid of the pins while keeping fast charging, that's a smart move. This also opens the door for a more universal charging experience, maybe even Qi support. Okay, that might be wishful thinking, but it's nice to hope. A lot of us already use wireless pads for phones and earbuds, so being able to drop our watch on the same pad would be very convenient. Let's take a quick look back. It's worth stepping back for a second, just to see how we got here. Because to really judge what this watch needs to be, we've got to line it up against its own history. The original Pixel Watch back in 2022 looked promising. That rounded dome design, still one of the cleanest in the game. But once the looks wore off, the cracks started to show. The processor was already a generation behind, and the battery, well, let's be honest, it couldn't keep up. For a lot of users, it barely made it through the day without needing a top-up by evening. Even the performance lagged under heavier tasks. It had style, sure, but it was hard to recommend to anyone who actually needed endurance or real power. Then came Pixel Watch 2. Google did try to fix things. They brought in the Snapdragon W5 chip, which made things smoother across the board. Fitbit health tracking got better too, and battery optimization saw some small gains. It felt more usable. Not a big leap, but a step forward. Still, it didn't break out of that middle-of-the-pack feel. You could see the effort, but the results weren't quite there. By the time Watch 3 rolled in, the improvements felt more like a round of refinements than a fresh leap. Bezels got thinner, the software got more polished, and Wear OS 4 made things feel more unified. But again, same story with battery life. It still didn't feel like a watch made for long-haul users. No multi-day tracking, no real heavy lifting without battery anxiety. For casual users, it worked. But for power users, it still came up short. And that brings us to the Pixel Watch 4, a product that, at this point, has no choice but to feel complete. The leaks show signs of bigger changes, thicker build, no pogo pins, and maybe even wireless charging. That's a lot to digest, but the real question is whether this finally closes the loop. Can Google turn a stylish piece of hardware into something reliable, functional, and competitive? Because let's face it, the competition hasn't been sitting still. Now let's talk about what we want to see from the Pixel Watch 4, based on how these changes are shaping up. First off, true multi-day battery life. Not just it can last a day battery. Real endurance. We're talking 48 hours or more. It's not impossible. OnePlus Watch 3 pulls it off. So do Garmin and Huawei. If Google wants to compete, they can't just do better than the original. They've got to do better than the rest. Next, better health tracking. The basics are already there, heart rate, sleep, ECG, but we still haven't seen Google match the accuracy of something like Apple or Garmin. If the watch is thicker now, maybe there's room for upgraded sensors. That could mean better sleep insights, more accurate activity tracking, and maybe even new features like skin temperature or blood pressure. We also want smoother software. Wear OS has come a long way, especially with version 4 and 5. But if Watch 4 drops alongside Wear OS 6, that has to be the real jump. More refined UI, better battery management, and less lag. The hardware's only half the story. The software needs to feel just as polished. And lastly, real smartwatch independence. LTE models exist, sure, but they still feel tied down to the phone. We'd love to see more standalone use, better syncing, better call handling, more apps that don't need your phone nearby. That could be a game changer. Of course, not everything's perfect. These are still just renders, and they don't tell us what's going on inside the watch. There's no info yet on chipset, RAM, storage, or whether the display brightness is getting a boost. All those things matter, especially when you're outdoors or multitasking. Also, wireless charging is cool, but if it's still limited to a Google-only charger, then what's the point? True wireless charging only makes sense if it works with what we already have. And we still don't know anything about pricing. Pixel watches have never been cheap. If Google wants to push this as the go-to Android smartwatch, they need to be smart with the price. It doesn't have to be budget level, but it needs to match the value. So where does this leave us? The Pixel Watch 4 looks like a smart measured update. Thicker body hints at better battery. Thinner bezels clean up the display. Wireless charging, if done right, is a great upgrade. And the two new buttons? We're curious. But none of this means much unless the software and performance actually match the design. We've seen beautiful smartwatches before that couldn't deliver in day-to-day use. What we want now is balance, looks, and substance. If Google can finally give us that with the Watch 4, then maybe this is the year it moves from almost there to finally nailed it. We'll find out more soon, maybe at Google I/O this month. Until then, we'll keep our expectations high but grounded. Because in the world of smartwatches, it's not about doing everything. It's about doing the right things. Well, and this time Google might just be on the right track. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more news and reviews.